We all have those moments where we feel like our ex is never going to work with us. They don't respond correctly. They probably don't respond at all. And you are left on one side of the co parenting equation trying to figure it out. Today's guest is going to help us understand what to do if our ex just will not work with us. Let's get started. Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and today I have Victoria McCooey with me. You guys may have just heard me talk about Victoria. We've had her on before. She is a high conflict divorce coach. Her specialty is all those nasty exes that really, really want to make your life difficult. So welcome, Victoria. It's wonderful to have you back.
Thanks, Erica. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just telling Victoria about, the episode that I did. Is he a narcissist or is he just an asshole? And that works. You know what we talked about in that episode of like, give them some space and stop trying to demand and try and work together. That works for some of the people, right? It works when people are being difficult just because their feelings are in the way. But then there is another level,
Yeah.
right?
That works when you're dealing with a non-disordered person, when you're dealing with somebody who's just angry or bitter or whatever, they're having their issues, but they don't have a disorder. They have empathy. They have a moral compass. They have a sense of fairness. It might not be showing up so much, but it exists.
Yes. Yeah. And when it doesn't, then we call Victoria because there's a whole nother level. So I think it's good to like, hey, we try these things, but then we really wanted to talk about, I had actually reached out to Victoria recently because we were hitting a little speed bump in the lives of co-parenting. You guys,
As we do.
right, as we do, because there's always different phases. There was the co-parenting when we were both single. Then there was co-parenting when my ex had a fiance. And then now there's co-parenting now that we've moved and I have a partner and we're a blended family of 4 children. There's a lot. And the topic that came up was, how do you work with an ex who won't work with you? And Victoria was a fantastic help on navigating this. So let's dive into it, Victoria.
I can't wait to. It makes me remember when I was where you are, which is a long, long time ago, before I knew this much about this disorder or co-parenting or any of the things. Somebody recommended, I think it was a lawyer or a therapist, somebody recommended a book to me. And it was probably like groundbreaking at the time. It's like the only book that existed on this. And nobody talked about narcissism back then. We didn't even know what that was. Like it wasn't a thing like it is today. So we didn't use that term at all. But the title of the book from the Middle Ages, when I was there, was called Joint Custody with a Jerk.
Valid.
And it sounds like a silly book, but it was actually written by, I don't know, they had pedigrees, they had some certifications behind them. So what I remember, the takeaway from that book, I wish I could still find it. They came up with something called something triangle, some kind of triangle.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
you know
the
what I'm talking
conflict
about?
one?
Conflict triangle. So whose problem is it? And, depending on your kids' ages, this comes into play. It just happened with a client of mine the other day. As moms, we try to micromanage, we try to pave the way, we try to make things easier for our kids, we try to shield them from the I'm not going to say narcissistic, but the parent who's acting out, trying to pave the way for them, trying to safeguard them from that. And sometimes that is to their detriment because when you're involved, you become the target. So it's really hard to do, but the book is challenging you to try to identify whose issue is it. Oh, I know, the kid wanted Snapchat. And the mom didn't want her to have Snapchat, and the dad was going to give her Snapchat just to get back in the mom. And she's trying to intervene. I'm like, whose problem is it? It's the kid who wants the Snapchat. Now, she didn't think he was actually going to go through and do it. He was just going to say, oh, yeah, I'm cool. I want you to have, like, whatever. So I go, remove yourself. Remove yourself. Say, no, that's not something I'm going to do. Maybe when you're and name the age or whatever, but that's not something that's happening from me now. Now she can negotiate with dad, and dad may give it to her, but it's not your issue.
I mean, we had some cell phone issues too because dad got the phone, which was fine. I was like, "Thanks. Thanks for helping, like, set it up and do all the pieces," but then that meant dad controlled the minutes. And there was a lot more control and not terrible, but dad wanted it, limited more than I was limiting it. We had to work together and figure out a plan that worked, and luckily for us, I've shared this, we had a rough first 6 years when the fiancé was in the picture, but overall, it's settled into a business relationship, almost respectful, right? Like, oh, it's there. We're not chatty, we're not socializing, but can we communicate for our son? We can. And he's pretty, like, hey, baseball stuff. Can you take him to the sports shop this weekend and go get what he needs? And he did. And then, we split the bill. And so this is probably night and day from the majority of people that are out
Yes.
there.
But that is lovely and wonderful and perfect. Even people who are leaving this narcissistic person and they know how dysregulated they are, like how far on the spectrum they are, yet they still have this vision of co-parenting where they're, trading off at brunch together and they're like going on vacations together. Like, I go, why are your expectations up here for this person that you couldn't be married to? The agenda is they will always blame you. They will always tell you you're doing it wrong. They're always going to criticize you. Like, it's not going to get better because you're divorced. So I call it the Hollywood version of divorce, where people think, yeah, you're Meryl Streep and what's his name, Alex Baldwin in that movie. And you can just like come in, have breakfast with us. Like, it's never going to be that for you.
No, I think there is a level of grief, even for myself, as we're sitting here talking about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, you know why I held on to that dream? Because there was a part of me that was still in love with who I thought that person was going to be as my then husband. And so it's almost like you're like, oh, I want to keep this intimate, close connection. When the reality is, I like today, I have zero idea who he is today. It's not where I thought we'd be in co parenting, but I'm 100% okay with it. And in that, because I can sit there and be like, I don't know how he'd respond to something. I know who he was 13 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it's been. But who he is now is not who's going to show up at that Hollywood brunch table. And that's what creates this disconnect of us wanting this other thing. But that person is not a reality. It's a continuation of us trying to create the perfect life that we think we were supposed to have.
Yes. Trying to fit his square body into that round hole, right? Like, the
Yes.
peg just doesn't fit. It's never going to be the way you envisioned it.
Yeah.
If it didn't happen in marriage, it's very unlikely it's going to happen in a divorce.
Right? So I think that's a really good first, like, level set, We've gotta get real on what are our expectations and what do we want. But there were a couple other key points. When you and I sat down and had this conversation, some of the Band-Aids you were ripping off for me is you're like, "They will not change. Don't take the bait, and be clear and consistent." And I just remember, we first met and I was hoping there was gonna be some silver lining. And you just were like, "They're not gonna change and don't take the
I'm
bait."
sorry.
So let's talk through some of these because they were so eye-opening, and sometimes it's those subtle shifts that can make the biggest difference because it took me changing my paradigm. Stop hoping that this is the time they're gonna show up differently and just accept that they are who they are. So let's talk through some of these.
Well, let's just go way back to the very beginning of how you got into a relationship with this person in the first place. So, most of the people all of the people who come to me have very high conflict issues, people, spouses or ex-spouses far on the spectrum of narcissism or sociopathy or damaged beyond your repair. So, that is the people who resonate with my messaging. And because they're with them, I know who they are intrinsically. Like they're wired a certain way too, because they got into this trauma bonded relationship with a very abusive personality. They're the good girl. And I'm not saying this in a disparaging way. It was me. It was probably you. We're overachievers. We like to do everything just right. We make lists and we check boxes and we obey laws and we follow directions. And, when we get the piece of furniture from IKEA, we read every direction and we follow every step. Whereas, somebody else is wired to go, I can figure this out and just go for it. Right. So it's a different wiring. And because we want to be the good girl, be dutiful, we feel like it's a self-worth issue too. We feel like we have to prove or earn love and respect, right? All the time. So a therapist can help you go back into your childhood and figure out how that happened. But here we are today with this baggage. And this is how it manifests with this relationship where you're always trying to do the damage control and fix everything and make everything nice for everybody at your own, like, check all the boxes, right? So now you're in a divorce and you still want that approval. You still are programmed to want the kids' approval and to want the ex-husband's approval and to want the ex-husband's girlfriend's approval and to want everyone's approval. That is the piece that we have to shift.
Yeah. And it's such a hard one because we are wired for it. And I think that it drives so many of the behaviors we see in separation and divorce, trying to get people to align with you and say, "Oh, you're right. You're right. He did something wrong. He was such a jerk. He did this. You're right." And even just asking yourself that, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I trying to prove in this behavior can help you step back from continuing to fight a battle that in these instances, you're not going to win. They are tricky and skilled
It's
at that.
such a tough pill to swallow that you're never going to get these people's approval. Not his, not his family's, not his girlfriend, not his wife, you're never going to get their approval. They are getting a narrative. You can't veto, you can't overwrite that. That is what his people have his story. And you have to give up that need to prove your worth.
Yeah. I think that's such a big space of holding that the ideology that two things can be right at the same time. He's going to keep his story of whatever justifying why he's right and what he did or how he's acting, he or she, we don't mean to like assign labels, but anyways. And on the other side, you get to keep yours too. And so it doesn't mean because he's telling this other story that yours is wrong, but can we create enough space to be like everybody's got opinions and everybody chooses how they see it? The 6 and the 9 look the same way depending on which side of it you're standing, but it is hard to let it go, but it's such a big crucial step in being able to really move forward and not carry that with you.
And as hard as it is not to get their approval, you have to be okay with sometimes having your kids not like you for some of the decisions you're making.
Yeah, and I would add on to that one too, even not liking you or even just when you feel like they're picking the other parent. How come you called the other parent when you're at my house, but you never call me? Like why are you so excited to see that parent, but you're not excited to see me? That is all wired again into this whole like I want to be chosen and I want to be the one that they pick.
I wish I could tell everybody listening how I was right there and how differently it all seems now. I mean, I'm on the other side. My kids are grown-ups. They're getting married and starting their own families, right? So it's come all the way full circle, and they see it from an adult lens now, everything that was going on. And even things I just thought projected onto them, thinking I knew what they were thinking, wasn't what they were thinking at all. And now we have adult conversations. When they, like you're saying, when they would come home from their other parent after a weekend, they were mean to me. They would storm up the steps. There's no hello, there was no big reunion, there was no like hugging. And I have boys, so they're also different that way. But they would storm up to their rooms, close their doors, and not come out. I called it asshole night. The night they came back from dad's was asshole night. They just were assholes to me. And I thought it was because he was poisoning them the whole time to hate me, which was not untrue, but they weren't taking that bait like I thought they were. They tell me now they had to decompress from what happened at dad's. And it makes so much sense now because they said, yeah, from the minute we got in the car with him to the minute he dropped us off, it was your mom, your mom, your mom, your mom, this, your mom, that, your mom, and they would just be like, it hurts. I mean, whether they're on your side or not, nobody wants to be told that their parent, whichever parent, sucks. And they would just be so mad at him, really, for doing that, for doing this all weekend to them, exhausting them with it, that they would just go in their room to like decompress, like get over it. So, wow, I thought they were just like taking it, the bait. They hate me. He's turned them against me. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah, it's so important to ask your kids, and there is an awareness, you guys, depending on the age of your kids. The younger kids don't want to talk about it. Maybe they want to go have alone space. Maybe you want to put some music on and dance. Maybe you want to go for a walk, go for a bike ride, play a sport, do something to move it through. A lot of times kids they don't want to sit down and chat like us adults or like me. I love to chat it through, but they are having their own experience. And so often we want to automatically assume that it is because something went wrong at the other house. And it is just an awareness that transitions are hard on everybody. And they've got to figure out how to decompress. We've talked about it before. Your role is not to protect them or to fix it. Your role is to be there for them so that they don't feel alone in the muck and that they have some guidance on how to get through it. A lot of like, take a deep breath, take a deep breath. That was the age I had, that was a lot of the coaching. Take a deep breath. You can get through this. I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. I reflect their emotion. I see that you're mad. That won't work on teenagers. I don't recommend that. But one of the other key points too, and you kind of started to talk about it there, but in a little different fashion, of don't take the bait. Because one of the other really hard things is not only are we trying to step in and save our kids from excess pain, and we're trying to take on a problem that isn't ours, but our ex is really, really good at pushing the right buttons and triggering you even when you don't want to be. So what can somebody do if they're finding themselves in that situation? They're trying their hardest, and here comes the text.
This is the biggest issue I deal with all day, every day with people. Like, this is their number one problem is you have been in this trauma bonded relationship. Like, you have taken the bait for years and years and years. You've been in this cycle. Your partner triggers you. There's this term dog whistling where they say the thing that to the naked eye, to anyone else would seem benign. Like, it doesn't make any, it wouldn't be something to get upset about. But when they say it to you, it means more. It's something. They do this in court a lot too. Like, they'll say something that no one else would pick up on, but they know it's unraveling you. So, but even in the relationship, bringing up something that they know is really upsetting to you or piss you off or get you going when it's really, oh, not that big of a deal. So, yeah, you're in this crazy trauma bonded relationship and you're used to taking the bait and it's hard to stop. So I think the first step is to realize that you're doing it, right? Identify it and say, oh, yeah, like what's the alternative to reacting and playing it out in your head? What would that look like? What would that feel like if I did that? And it takes practice. It takes like mental practice because when you're in the moment, when you're triggered, it's not going to happen the first time. The more you rehearse in your head and see it from a different perspective, the easier it'll get. And then, there are all kinds of other tricks and exercises about seeing them as a toddler, seeing them as like a very compromised person. Like if your toddler had a tantrum in the grocery store, you wouldn't freak out and like be all reactive, right? It's like they can't do any better. Like It's like, okay, they're having a tantrum. I'm just going to wait it out. It's okay. Right?
Right.
It's
And
kind
I
of the
think
same.
so often too, we get stuck in those text arguments or verbal arguments again because we're trying to prove that we're right. And you guys, it's a waste of time, like to watch the arguments go on of trying to prove and it spirals somewhere else and spirals somewhere else. And if you are desperately trying to prove that you're right and take that power, then I would challenge you to see take your power back by not taking the bait. Stop their ability because they know poke, 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 and it like spirals right down the drain again. And you see it coming, and I'm like,
Yeah.
don't respond, walk away, don't respond, run, put the phone down.
If you can try to find some other place in your life where you're successful at that, like maybe it's in a work situation, or maybe it's like if you're on social media and somebody is, harassing you on something like that where it doesn't have the same effect, right? Because it's like, yeah, whatever. They mean nothing to me. Like it doesn't matter. Man, now that I have a large platform, things that when I first started that people would say that would, I like a gut punch. And now it's, delete, delete, delete. I don't even, it doesn't, nothing, right?
Yeah, it's a muscle. The more you practice it, the stronger you become. It's really hard to not respond to that text because it feels like you're walking away and not to argue why you're right. But then when you watch them go text, 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 because they're trying to bait you back in, right? The hook, the hook, the hook, and you're like, I'm not dealing with it. Like if they're never gonna change, you can change. You can make the shift to be like, I don't want to continue the same pattern. I'm gonna step away and take my power back to regroup, to get to a different place, and then come back at the conversation.
And then, those one-liners is like very succinct little replies you can give, like noted, got it, understood.
Love that. Yeah, I think the other one we had tried was I understand what you're trying to communicate. I'm signing off for the night because I'm spending the night with the kids, when they're here. And so, like those things that, hey, I'm acknowledging you. This is where, again, if they're just an asshole, I'm acknowledging you. Everybody calms down. We can pick it up.
Right, right,
If they're
right.
high conflict and just going to be a pain in the butt, you know, it protects you. It gives you the space back. They're going to be who they're going to be. And that's
Yup.
not always the answer you want to hear.
But because we're like the fixers, we're the people who I can handle it. I can fix it. I can do it. Yeah, volunteer. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll make the turkey for the Thanksgiving. I'll do it. I'll feed the family that doesn't have it. I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Right? We'll do it. We'll always volunteer. We'll always rise to the occasion. We'll always step in. I can handle it. I can handle it. I can handle it. And so that's who you are, and that's lovely, but in this situation it's hurting you.
Yes. Yes, because they don't care, you guys. Like the reality is at the end of the day, they send the messages, they kind of walk away. Maybe they get some enjoyment out of it, right? Like maybe they're like, ha ha ha, I really did this to them, but they're not taking it with them through the rest of the day like you are. And that comes back again to getting really clear on why are you doing the things you're doing? Why are you volunteering? Do you like it? Does it fill you up? Do you feel better afterwards? If the answer is no, you get the right to say, not right now. I didn't volunteer for years. I turned down lots of things because I just could not take on any more stress. And you're in that same place of the dealing with your ex might be stressful enough. And you might be in a season where you need to kind of say no to the rest of the things until things can get a little bit more stable.
Boy, that is the hardest thing for people like us to switch into, making yourself the priority. We are not comfortable with that at first. I'm
Not
a
at
pro at it now.
right? That's, I think, one of it was a really hard lesson. You get first separated, and then once I was divorced, I started traveling more. And it was in the travel that, I could decompress. I had space. I, wasn't worried about other things. My son was with his dad, so like he's safe. And I really started to fall in love with that time and really want that time. But in the beginning, it was horrendous. In the beginning, those weekends alone were some of the most painful times. Now, especially now that between the blended family, there are 4 children. So I just said it to my partner this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, I am so looking forward to just a child-free night. where we can just sit around and do nothing and not have to worry about dinners or bedtimes or anything. And it feels so selfish as I say this out loud and confess this on the podcast. This is not selfish, you guys. Like, you get to enjoy your child free time. You get to enjoy the time where you prioritize what you need. I still get mom guilt when I'll be like, oh, I'm leaving my son home because he lives with us primarily. He's old enough, right? We're eighth grade. We're going out to dinner. You're not coming with because you're doing other things. Like, the little mommy heart,
I know.
it still hurts. And you just gotta ask. I asked my kid and he's like, I don't care. I'm gonna game and play with my friends online. But our mind tells us other stories. If you've been struggling to find the right support to help you figure out what your next step is, the club is your answer. Launching this summer, we'll be hosting a private divorce group for you to get the support, the inspiration, and the guidance you need to be able to find the answers for you to finally move forward. No matter if you are unhappily married, trying to figure out what those next steps are, or in those early phases of separation and divorce where it feels like a constant uphill battle and you just want to get your feet underneath you, the club is going to be your place. Every single month, I offer support calls, networking calls to meet other women, and a signature program to guide you from confusion to clarity. On top of that, my most favorite part is every quarter, I'm going to send you a healing gift. You get a kit full of tools, support items, things to help you on your healing journey. The club is going to open up this summer, so make sure to get on the wait list. The link is in the show notes so that you have early access.
But that time when they're with the other parent, it's not selfish. It is benefiting your child as well. If you can, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? If you're not filling up your own cup with joy and self care and all the things that make you able to take care of other people, then that hurts your child too.
Yeah. And it was really painful for me because I got a lot of pushback from some family members that I was not making the responsible choice. And I better not forget that I have a kid, and having to stand up in my own power to be like, my kid needs a happy and balanced mom, and my kid deserves a parent who is showing how do you take care of yourself. And so, like, this is happening and this is okay, but not everybody saw it that way.
Well, yeah. And you can take other people's opinions with a grain of salt, right?
Just
Yeah.
like your exes, you guys, take it with a grain of salt. All right. So your ex won't work with you. Okay. First of all, you guys, accept that he won't change. Second, don't take the bait. Take your power back by stopping the conversation. When you see it spiraling somewhere unhelpful, when you see it going down the same, take your power back.
Yeah.
And
And when they go, oh, so you're so immature, you're not even answering. Oh, so now you're not speaking to me. Oh, so this is what triggers us, right?
100%.
We know this is going to happen. So you know what they're going to do. They are desperate to engage with you. They've lost all other control over you. This is all they have. And they're going to make sure they don't lose this too. So whatever it takes, they will throw spaghetti at the wall. Oh, you're so immature. Oh, I'm going to tell the court that you're not responding. Oh, I'm going to take you back to court for full custody. Whatever they can get a rise out of you with is what they're going to do.
Yeah. And I think that's a really powerful awareness too, that they used to have full access to you. They used to be able to fully control you, and now they can't. And so it shows up differently, like when they call and just want to talk, when they are trying to text all the time at all different hours, right? This is them trying to still have access to you, and it's not an access that they have. All right. Next one is be clear and consistent, which can be really hard when you're emotionally triggered, but it is so crucial.
Okay. Here's my answer to that. Don't answer when you're volatile. I tell people to plan a time of day, one time per day, same time every day, that you're going to read and respond to whatever the communications are. You never have to respond, even court orders and parenting apps. I've never seen anyone be ordered to respond in less than 24 hours.
Yep.
So take 24 hours. So maybe 4 o'clock is the time of day every afternoon. That's when you're going to read. Yes, it's hard to control yourself from reading. And even if you can't help that, don't respond at least,
Yep.
right? Because now you're on their agenda. They got you at maybe the worst possible moment of your day. You become proactive and you go, okay, 4 o'clock is when I answer these communications. So 3 o'clock is when I exercise or take a bath or talk to my coach or talk to my therapist or take a walk around the block or whatever it is that gets you in the right place where you're filled with gratitude and you're connected to the universe and you're in your state of bliss and everything's great. Now you come at it from a totally different place.
Yes,
Now
100%.
you're in control.
I love that, and I love that for 2 reasons. One, because you wake up in the day and you're pretty good. You don't really wanna message right away and, like, risk tanking your whole day, but you also don't wanna be messaging right before you go to bed because I don't know about you, but the nighttime is when I'm tired, my anxiety is worse. Negative thoughts are harder to control at the end of the day. So picking something and doing something so that you are fully lined up, right? How can you visualize what's in the good and greatest good for all, right? How can we all win out of this? How can we all have enough space to be who it is and then be able to take care of that? Other reason I love that is because so often you just don't want to deal with the person. And so then what happens? You put off responding and put off responding and put off responding. And now there's multiple issues. And so I love the simplicity of just saying, pick a time, same time every day. Oh, do I have anything I need to follow up on or send or inquire about? I do it now. Otherwise, you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's the elephant in the room.
So it's like the standing appointment in your planner every day from
Yeah.
4 to 4:30 or 4 to 4:15 or however long it is. This is my time that's carved out each day to deal with that.
Mhm.
And
And you
I'm
put it away.
geared and in the right place and I make sure I'm emotionally ready for that.
Yes, that is so important to be emotionally ready. Be emotionally ready, you deal with it, and then you put it away till the
Yeah.
next day. I don't have to deal with this till the next day,
And
and
a
I agree.
compartment, right, in your brain. Oh, okay, it's compartment's open and now it's closed. And
Yes.
I don't think about it again.
Yeah, so you don't have to keep taking it with. It will take you guys practice, okay? This doesn't happen overnight. This didn't happen to me overnight. I got to a place where he'd send a text or she'd make a post or something would trigger me. And I got to a place at least where I didn't send back right away. I wrote it out. Notes on my phone, right? I wrote my phone typing out anger, retyping, right? Round and round and round. I'd be like, God, I'm writing forever. That was my first clue. Like, wow, this is you. You just need to be journaling, Erica. This is not a message you need to send. You just need to journal it out. And then setting it aside and living by I had created some strong goals in my own mind. I wanted to always operate from a place of love, even when people do mean hurtful things when they are hurt. Doesn't mean I wanted to continue it as best I could. I wanted to be that role model for my son. We can accept people, we can extend grace, we can protect ourselves and still choose not to be cruel. And I wanted to make sure that there was never behaviors on my side that I looked back and regretted doing. So I never hopped on social media to da 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 thumb warrior, keyboard warrior again, right? Da 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 da. What did he do now? I was really clear that I was like, is this something that I'd want my son to read about his dad? Because we're adults making mistakes, but there is a kid in the middle. And I didn't want that to impact their relationship. They're going to impact their own relationship, but I didn't want it to be because of me.
That's a really good rule of thumb.
And it was hard some days.
Yeah, yeah.
but
But to
but it
remember, what if your kid read this? I love that.
yeah, and it just was those
As
2
like a litmus test.
those 2 simple things. Yeah, like, would I be proud if this is what my kid read? Because, yeah, I'm venting, and yes, I'm hurt, and yes, but those are all my feelings too, and how can we get to a place of love and acceptance? And just those
Listen,
2, and just
if
kept using it.
if you are here, if you are listening to these types of podcasts, and if you're interested in doing better, in
Yeah.
managing this whole thing, then I know you're going to be successful, right?
You have the
You're
desire.
doing the work already. You're getting information, you're looking for tools, you're trying to get some guidance around this. So you're way ahead of the curve here. You're going to do great. And yes, we all made mistakes, but okay, so confession, like I was cleaning out my office the other day, and whenever I get a card over the years, I throw them in drawers. I said, this is crazy. These are really special. So I got this really beautiful box and I started going around collecting cards from every drawer, all the things that my kids had given me over the years, and to put them all in one place. Of course, I had to reread everything, right? They got it. They got it. Even like in some of the high school years when it was fresh, they got it. And, I was so nervous and so ready to blame myself for not doing a good enough job that I didn't see it then. But they were telling me in like Mother's Day cards. And yeah, of course, we all say nice things on Mother's Day, but the words they chose, like role model, putting us ahead of you, always taking the high road. They see it. So yes, you're going to stumble. Yes, you're going to screw up once in a while, but overall, you're doing great.
I love that. And it's such a good reminder, you guys being open to trying things differently, seeking out other ways to think about things or other people to support you. It's 90% of the work. Being open, being willing to do it, and then one day at a time. And each day gets a little better and a
Do
little
you think
better.
your toxic spouse is out there looking for how to be better at this?
Not today, they're not. No, I'm just yeah, so I feel overall pretty lucky. Mine's is he difficult? For sure. Does he irritate me still? Absolutely some days. But, yeah, there were some really rough years, a lot of really rough years, and I didn't think we were ever going to get through it, and I really didn't understand how I was ever gonna pick up the pieces and be able to do whatever else I wanted to do and make sure my son was okay. A lot of worries around that. How was this impacting him and his friends and this and that? And then day by day, it gets a little better, a little bit longer into the day. And all of a sudden, it's a couple days together. And then you look back and you realize that you did make it through the toughest parts.
And because you have someone who's wired, well. He has, like everybody,
Yes, I'm lucky in that part.
struggles. We
Yeah.
all have struggles. But so for those of you out there who might have had one more like mine, who does have a disorder, who is impaired, who is compromised, and is not able to do things any better, and you really worry about the impact on your children, I'm here to tell you that my children could not have had it any worse than they did in our very immature struggle to to divorce. I mean, when I look back, I had no help. I had no guidance. I had no insights into what this was. Nobody was giving me any good information. And I made every mistake. Now I know so much better. So you don't have to do what I did, but I took the bait every single time. I mean, it was a shit show. They are completely well-adjusted, successful young men. They do not have any lasting damage. They did not become, suicidal or drug abusers or drop out of school or anything. Okay. And I don't know how much worse it could have been for them. This is their journey. Yes, we want our child's life to be perfect. Was your life perfect? We all have some burden to bear. We all have some struggle. We wouldn't be able to develop to our fullest extent if we didn't have struggles, right? A calm sea never made a worthy sailor. What is it, right? This is what makes us tougher, more resilient, more scrappy, more crafty, better with people. Like, these are the things. So no, this isn't the course I would have chosen for them, but it believe it or not, had its benefits for them. It taught them things I wouldn't have been able to teach them.
We're always on our path. We're always on our path. A lot of times we think we get knocked off of it. We think that we are headed somewhere else. Or I felt for a lot of years that my life was on pause. When is it going to get started again? And the reality is that you're always on your path. You are always making the best decision you can in the moment. And being willing and open to see things differently means that you can create the change you're looking for. You will not be stuck. You are not unaware of what's going on or what you don't like. And it's about trying out these new behaviors. So thank you, Victoria, for sharing your thoughts and your expertise and just that confidence. You guys, you're gonna get through it. You are. They might never change. That's not what you want to hear. They are never going to change, but you can. And how they impact your life and your kids' lives can also change. And it is all about the life we're here to live.
Yeah.
So
And, Erica, you said something really important too, that your job really becomes being the safety net, right? They're going to be the victim of the narcissist's rage or abusive behaviors, or it's just inevitable. That's how they're wired. And your children are very in close proximity, and they're going to be the victim of that at some point, and you can't stop it from happening, which is so sad, right? It's so sad because that's their dad or that's their mom, and they're going to get subjected to some portion of it. But you can be the safe place for them to land.
yeah, and they're gonna learn from it. It's their journey. So
Yeah.
how you're on your side, right? They're willing to support, willing to help out, but you cannot live the life for them. So thank you, Victoria. You guys, if you want to learn more from Victoria or get connected, all of her information is in the show notes down below. It's also online at thecrazyexwivesclub.com under the episode where we share what we talked about today. So thank you for coming back and chatting with us again and helping us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. You guys, until next week, don't take the bait, right? This is your challenge for the week. Don't take the bait. Set a time every day where you will respond. But other than that, reclaim a little power over your own life. And we'll see you next week for another episode. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.